What up, misfits? Welcome back to this little series that I'm doing on fear. This is part 2. If you haven't seen the first part, go check it out. And I want to start off this part 2 by saying this quote that I heard from this pastor that I used to listen to. And it goes like this: "The dogs of doom stand at the doors of your destiny." Now those dogs of doom, they can be just a block that's in front of your goal, your dreams, the relationship, the life that you want to live, whatever. Most people, when they are, metaphorically speaking, staring at the dogs of doom in the face, they are terrified. Obviously, they're the dogs of doom, right? They're your dogs of doom. And the biggest fear, I think honestly even bigger than the dogs themselves, is what will happen if that fear consumes me? What will happen if those dogs of doom eat me whole? But I think the question that we need to be asking is, what will happen if they don't? So like I said, if you haven't seen the first video, go ahead and check it out. And I say that because I kind of want to clarify a little bit of what I was talking about in that first video, which is accepting your fears. Now, accepting your fears, if you really think about it, can be tied into and turned into surrendering to your fears. Now look, it's painful to surrender. It is painful to surrender for good intentions or bad intentions. Surrendering to fear with the intention to overcome it will show you just how small those dogs of doom really are. But surrendering to fear because that fear actually terrifies you and you're letting it overcome you, those dogs of doom will eat you alive. I think the fear that's even bigger than the fear itself, the fear that the dogs of doom are, is what will happen if those dogs of doom eat me alive? What will happen if that fear consumes me? What if I surrender? What if I go and, just metaphorically speaking, you're standing at the door of your destiny and the dogs of doom are barking in your face, and instead of, like I was talking about it in my last video, being in a boxing ring with fear, and just like instead of trying to fight it, trying to hit it and facing it, just letting it hit me and actually feeling how small that fear really is. That fear of even confronting the fear, that fear of even being in the boxing ring with fear and getting hit because you're like, this thing could take me down, or the dogs of doom, like they're going to eat me alive. That fear of even approaching the dogs of doom or getting hit with fear is actually more crippling than the hit itself, is actually more crippling than the dogs of doom. So the answer as to what will happen if you let fear hit you or you let those dogs of doom eat you alive, well, you already actually have that answer. You already have that answer to whatever that fear is. You're going to be stuck in the same place that you're at right now. You're going to become more afraid. Your life isn't going to change at all. That fear is greater than the actual dogs of doom and the fear itself, but that's really what's stopping you. That's really what's stopping you from surrendering to it and accepting it. And then once you do that, you see how small it really is, how much it doesn't hurt, and how much it's just holding you back. And you approach those dogs of doom and you see how small they are and how much it's like, why was I afraid of this? And then you walk right through that door. So what will happen if those fears consume you? You already know the answer to that. That's an irrational fear that's hindering you from moving forward in whatever it is that you need to move forward in. The right question to be asking is, what will happen if you don't step forward? What will happen if you don't surrender? What will happen if you don't face it? What will happen if you don't accept it? What will happen if you don't? Let me ask you another question. How many lives would you impact with your story if you did overcome that one fear? If you did face the dogs of doom, if you did let fear hit you in the face so you can see how small that fear really is? What would happen? How many lives would you change with your story if you surrendered? If you accepted, if you faced it? The impact that you carry with your story could be a lot bigger than what you think. And if you honestly don't want to overcome the fear for yourself, then be humble enough to admit that your story could mean something to somebody else and overcome that fear for them. Overcome that fear so that you can lead by example for others and not just yourself. Even though it will push you forward and excel you like no other. I mean, fear is the #1 thing that's holding people back, period. And when I talk about holding people back from what, I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about dreams, relationships, anything in your life, fear in general that's holding you back. But specifically what I continue to see with people is the fears that come along with, I'm afraid to dream bigger. I'm afraid to actually do what I want to do. But look, going back to how much could your story impact someone if you overcame that fear? This gets back to a main message that I already talked about on one of my videos, that your purpose has nothing to do with what you do. So just going back now and wrapping this all together, I really want you to think about this question. How many lives could you impact with your story if you overcame that one fear that you think will swallow you whole, that you think will kill you? But it's just facing that fear. It's accepting that fear, surrendering to it with the intention to overcome it, and not just for yourself, but for the lives of other people that you know will hear your story, yes, your story, and be impacted by it so that they can overcome their fears. So how many lives would you impact with your story if you overcame that one small fear? So I titled this video, Fear, the Architecture of Your Dreams. So how does that tie into this? What does that mean? So I really like architecture. And I was filming for this video and I kept thinking about your dreams and what they are built on. So your dreams are not built on anything material. Your dreams are built on dreams. Your dreams are built on passion, on happiness, on joy, on peace, on unity, on whatever. Whatever that dream contains is what you're building on, and it's nothing material. It's what you have inside yourself. So your dreams that you're building is really you building yourself, because unless you develop the character that you need for your dreams, you'll never be able to hold it. You'll never be able to successfully implement your dream if you don't have the character that can support the weight of how big and amazing your dreams are. And that right there is what people are afraid of. That is the dogs of doom for a lot of people. That is the fear that people don't want to get hit in the face with, because they're afraid of change. They're afraid of sacrifice. I'm not talking about change like you have to change the good things in your life or the things that you hold dear and the things that you love, or even sacrificing those things. I'm talking about changing for the better and sacrificing the fear, sacrificing the fear of others, sacrificing the fear to move forward, sacrificing the fear of accepting the fear so that you can see how small it really is, sacrificing the fear of giving up this small tiny thing, saying no to this so that you can say yes to a bigger goal, yes to a higher goal, yes to the story that you have that can speak to people, that can just change their lives as well. Like, you have to believe your life is a story that is worth hearing by the friends and family that you have surrounding you, co-workers, everybody, that when you tell it, it can actually change their lives as well. And if you believe that, then sacrificing your fears of people, of change, of whatever, it's going to be really easy for you to do, because you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You're not thinking selfishly, you're thinking selflessly. So the architecture of your dreams is built on the things that you hold dear, but it requires you sacrificing fear. That rhymed. I like it. I like it a lot. So if this video meant something to you and it spoke to you in any way, please leave a comment. I love reading your all's comments on my vlogs. It's super encouraging to me, and I love that it's just really humbling to know that my content can actually have impact on people, and it means the world to me. So please leave a comment, and if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you misfits in a little bit for part 3, so stay tuned.
Peace.